Hey Patty, good evening. If you're talking to me, you're on mute. I can't hear.
That's when I make the most sense. I was saying, you must be a busy guy right now.
Off and on, off and on.
Yeah, I just signed up for this. I don't know why I do this, but I just signed up for this team that Jeff and Sarah have going on about the ADU survey.
Mhm.
So just tried to complicate my life a little more.
It'll be fun trying to get responses from, I forget, Sarah said like 80% of the population of Portola.
Yeah, well, we're shooting for that, but I think more fun will be just the education and awareness to people of what they can do.
Yep.
Because I think there's so many questions out there and
Yep.
so many opportunities that people
Mhm.
don't realize that they have.
Mhm.
So that's kind of why I'm there. And Karen's on the committee with me. Team, sorry, team. We're not a committee.
Hello, hello.
Hey, Karen.
How are
Hey,
you?
Karen.
Hi, John.
Hello, everybody. Good evening.
Good evening.
Whoa, Karen, you're reaching out into the wilderness there. Oh, she's on mute.
You're on mute, Karen.
I
What are
think-
you, it looks like you're riding a horse or a bicycle or something. What are you doing?
My dinner from the microwave. I'll be right back. I realized I couldn't hold the computer and grab, it's a bowl of soup. Hang on.
The microwave on that trail back there up Windy Hill. That looks
Is
like,
that Wendy Hill? Oh, it is Wendy Hill, isn't it?
like it.
Yeah, it looks like it.
She's our Hawthorne representative. She should have a picture of Hawthorne up there.
I got a picture of Hawthorne's. It was weird being up there because you see all the same stuff you see from Windy Hill, but from just a slightly different angle. It was really, it was
Okay.
really odd.
Well, I just got off the Hawthorne's public meeting. I thought I should attend that as I'm the liaison for our
Mhm.
committee. It wasn't very, the one at Portola Valley was a lot better attended. So there were very few people in these breakout rooms, but the biggest, if you're interested, the biggest issues that came up, I think are, everybody likes the fact that it's going to get open, but the parking and the traffic and the access points to the Hawthorns. And they said they're working with the town on widening the trail along Alpine Road there, or talking with the town at this point in time to make that a bigger trail for greater access.
Including bikes?
They
Just kidding, Karen. There's just so many things that have kind of blown up on the PB forum while I was
Well,
gone. I was like, really?
There
Bikes now?
were discussions about that. Yes.
I'm
Mhm.
sure there were.
Yes.
I'm sure there were. Dogs off leash. Need a dog park. Hey.
I did let them-
Yoo-hoo.
I did let them know I would like to walk my dog in the Hawthorns, but
Wouldn't that be amazing?
yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Did Dave Bailey say he was going to be here? I can text him. One more.
Well, I copied both Lindsay and Rita.
Okay, good.
I didn't hear from Dave.
I'll text him.
What was that picture you were showing, Craig? Was that Windy Hill?
Yeah, no, that was from the Hawthorns
Oh, was it?
up on top of the hill.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Right.
pretty.
Beautiful view. Yeah, that was one of the things that came up is the gorgeous view, not only of Windy Hill, but also of,
Yeah, so that's
Russian
Windy Hill
Ridge.
right over there, right? The
Yeah,
trail up
Windy Hill is over. Whoops, what did I do? Windy Hill is over here.
right there, yeah.
So is this the place that if you walk straight down, you run into Roberts?
Yes,
Yeah, Roberts is off to the right on this photo a little bit. It's kind of
Right.
through
Yeah.
the trees there to the right.
It's that opening. right-
Straight ahead of us is like the Corte Madera neighborhood and Windy Hill off to the left.
Yep.
Or actually, I think maybe the Priory is kind of more or less in the center of the shot here. Yeah, it's
But
like a slightly different angle on everything that you've seen before in town. It's interesting. It's like a
but to answer your question, John, yeah, that's the spot, the driveway that's directly across from Roberts is that property.
Yeah.
That's the Hawthorne.
Yeah. So where would people park? Would they have to park down in that area, with the hardware store?
They haven't figured it out yet. So there's a ranger house kind of up there already, access from that driveway, and then
Right.
you go up that driveway and kind of fork it, kind of hill rolls down to the left, and there's potentially some space down there that you could park cars. There's some space kind of further up the hill. So that's part of what they need to figure out. Right now, they're just kind of looking at constraints and, what kind of uses they want, and then they'll start actually laying things out, I think, and looking at a map.
Yeah, they're in the very early stages, I would say, and they're really trying to get input from everybody.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad to see Lindsay's here, and Dave Bailey just texted me saying will be on in 2 minutes.
okay.
Hello,
Hey, Lindsay, how are you?
I got a pulse.
Better
You had
than
to
the
check?
alternative.
Did you have to check?
Is that- That's where we're starting from. That's the baseline. Everything is up from there.
Yeah,
Where you check? I did check on my hand.
what are you talking about? What's happening these days? Election?
Nothing going on these days. Absolutely nothing.
Okay, good.
Boring.
Pretty
Yeah.
quiet.
Nothing going on in town. Nothing going on in the forum. Nothing going on in the sports world. Nothing. Boring.
Yeah, okay. Oh,
We were just in Boston. We had a good time. It actually rained. It was so
Oh.
nice.
Saw rain.
Fall colors. Wow. Green.
you go, to-
Imagine that.
what they playing? Playoffs?
No, the Red Sox were out of it a long time ago.
Oh, yeah, okay.
All of my
Yeah.
teams are doing great, by the way. I'm from Philadelphia.
Ah,
Wow.
Eagles are 6-0. The Phillies are in first time in 11 years in the playoffs.
Well,
Right.
well, they started tonight? They're 1-1 with, Houston?
Yeah, that's the Yankees are playing Houston
Yeah,
tonight.
Yankees are playing Houston. I don't want either of those teams. So whoever wins the National League, I hope they cream whoever's in the American League,
Yeah, okay.
as long as it's not the Dodgers. Okay, well, I think we do have a quorum, so we can at least, do you want to wait for Dave or not?
I think you can start because we have a quorum.
Okay, I've got a quorum. Okay, I got to take notes here since nobody's volunteered to be secretary.
Thank you, Patty.
Yeah, I know. What did I hear the other night? Never be good at something if you don't want to do the job. So I'm going to start screwing up here big time.
Well, one thing to note is that now that we're recording all of these Zoom calls, you can have much sort of shorter abbreviated minutes that essentially give a sort of summary of what action was taken and what items were discussed. Because if anybody wants the detail, they can just watch the video.
Oh, that's right. I'm
You
being
don't need to. You
recorded,
don't need
aren't
to
I?
keep minutes that say he said, she said, and then this said this, and then they said that. You can just kind of summarize a lot more.
Okay, I don't do that anyway, but that's good to know. And I'm thank you for reminding me that I'm being recorded. I'll try and be more professional. Okay, call the meeting to order. Hi, Dave. Okay, approval of minutes from the last meeting. Is the first, is it the first or is it
And I move,
oral communications, sorry. Do we have anybody from the community that would like to make comments to the committee? Okay. I am going to, I'm going to ask Craig this because I got a call from Christy Corley while I was in Boston. And she said she was listening to a town council meeting where they had proposed that we, the town, go through and make sure that all the deed restrictions and ownership rights and I don't know all the professional terms are in place for all of the town-owned parcels, including our recreational facilities. And she wanted to know if Parks and Rec needed to be involved in that. It was the first I'd heard about it. And you don't have to answer because it's a new agenda item. I can put it on the agenda, but I just wondered if it's something we should be involved in.
I'm trying to remember in what context that came up. I know the Trails Committee is looking at easements under trails. It's possible that related to housing, there's some effort going on to collecting all the deeds. Oh, you know what? There was a conversation about that. I thought it was a couple council meetings ago. But there was some discussion of basically the town having a better understanding of what property we actually own and getting copies of all the deeds and that kind of stuff. I don't think there's really any work for this committee to do. It's just the town going to the county registrar and getting all the records.
Okay,
Nothing's changing. It's just getting an inventory of town-owned land.
okay. Well, we won't do anything unless we hear otherwise.
Yeah, I'll let you know if there is anything that is relevant, but I think it's just, we own, I don't know, something like 30 different pieces of property scattered around town, and it's just getting a better understanding of what those are.
Yes, we're aware of those because we looked at every single one of them for dog park. So. Okay, so no oral communications, approval of minutes.
I
I
move,
did get one comment from, sir, yeah, Leslie.
I'm gonna move, we adopt the minutes as written.
No, you can because I have a correction.
Uh-oh. Okay,
So I heard from a member of the community who, my gosh, actually reads our minutes. I was shocked. She's not here tonight. And it's not Christy. But I misspelled Hawthorne on our minutes.
oh my God.
I know.
No
Um,
E, Patty, no E.
I know, Karen, you got to keep me honest here. You got to keep me honest.
And I think it's
There is an S
Hawthorns.
on the end instead of an E, so I will make that correction. So given that correction, Lindsay, would you like to make your motion again?
Yes, move we adopt the minutes as amended.
Is there a
Second.
second?
Second.
Oh, that's right. I have to, wait, guys, I have to write down the first and the second now. Who seconded?
Karen,
Karen? Okay, all those who say aye, just hold up your hand and I'll just write your name down. I'm not gonna do a roll call. Okay. I'm doing the Brown Act.
Can I raise it virtually here? Isn't there some raise hand thing?
You can, but then it goes away before I can count everything, I think.
The raise hand stays there until you lower it again.
Oh, that's right. It's just the reaction of the thumbs up that goes away. Okay. All right. Is there any new business? Okay, let's start with the old business. Hey, Zostatats Town Picnic, resounding success. Woo! Yay! Damn, we're good. John, do you want to give us a thumbnail version of Zots?
Well, if some reason the numbers go up every single year, and it's actually quite dramatic. Because again, I said this every year for the last 3 times we did this, because it was 100, right? So we planned on 125 something, then it was 200. So we planned on like 225, and then there was 300. And this time there was like 400 people. So, in this little town, how it goes up so dramatically in that short period of time, I don't know, but it's a great thing, obviously. I actually think it was also certainly both of the starting line and the finish line were definitely managed much better, much more efficiently. Just some key decisions that were made. In the starting, one big thing was just that we went to hats instead of t-shirts, so we didn't need sizes, right? So it was just so easy, and everybody was all kind of pretty much all signed up already. So it was like, here's your number, here's your hat, go, right? And so it was just much easier. Obviously the big thing was we shut down the streets again, and I don't know. I didn't hear as many complaints, but I'm sure there probably were still in terms of people not knowing, but nonetheless. And then the finish line I thought was very well managed as well. Be right there, Dave. Just because I think we had a lot more volunteers ready to go, and so was the medal handout and the trophy and everything. I think just went much more smoothly. So I think it was all good except for whatever Dave's going to say here. Dave, go ahead. What was the?
I just wanted to check in about whether we feel like we successfully delegated the road closure to the other committee whose name I can't remember.
Yeah, bicycle safety trails,
Yeah.
Something, yeah, or pedestrian. And Patty, you can tell me too. They definitely ultimately were there, and I think what they're better at is the day of than they are the planning part going up to it. That's all. So I think we still probably did the planning, but they I think were a big help with the volunteers and the presence there. Go ahead, Patty. You can give your vote.
Yeah, I still don't think they're pulling their weight, in my humble opinion. But that's something that I think you and I can deal with Ed on. I think you're right. I saw very little of them before the race. I still had to put up all the signs. I still had to work with Carrie on the communication. I did the posters. I mean, we still do a lot. But in the end of the day, it's our event. So what makes it good for our participants is kind of the thing that we're striving for as a community. But I think they can do more. Yes, I do.
I'm the liaison to that committee too, so I see it from both sides of the fence, as it were. I think they felt like it went off pretty smoothly this year for the parts that they were involved. And that the sheriff's office in particular, I think gave some instructions to the people who are doing the road closures on how to manage that. And it seemed to be somewhat smoother than in previous years, fewer complaints and good communication to people saying, hey, just wait half an hour and you'll be able to get through, or here's how you can go around.
Yeah, actually, now think about it, because there were a few little things or some things I might do differently, or at least be more conscious of. Now I think about the day. One was, so we were supposed to meet in Triangle Park there, and somehow the police must not have gotten that message. I mean, they did the last year or the year before. So, but fortunately, I kind of went straight to the starting line, and they were down at Rosati's. Right. So I said, no, you need to go back. And there was other things that happened. One is they're good at shutting down things at the roads. They're not real good at like communicating to people what to do given that. So for instance, after the start, I kind of quickly saw there was this huge lineup, and I just need to be prepared next year, because I went and explained to all the drivers. I kept going, and the bicyclists, said, look, these are your choice. These are your alternatives, right? This is how long it's going to be roughly. And you can go up here and go around or whatever. And even when I went up and I was at Portola Road, the intersection there, there was a lot of people stopped there, and some of them were like, I'm just trying to get my mother from the Sequoias And the
Mhm.
police were saying, I'm sorry, the roads are closed, right? And so I was going to the mall and saying, look, if you
Just
go
go
up to
down.
Willowbrook, right? But if you
Yeah.
go, you can go straight to Willowbrook because now they've opened it up to there. Go up to
Mhm.
Willowbrook, take a right, and it'll get you to the Sequoias, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can still get there, and so there's some more things like that. And then the other thing they did was at the finish line, they made made an audible called an audible, which was they were going to shut down between what is that? Is that
Stone Gate.
Stonegate,
going, yeah, and all the way to the town center, right? And there's a couple elements to that. One is which I had been directing people that way, saying you can go around, going up and around, and then
Yeah, up and over
then they
West
shut
Ridge.
it down anyway. Right. And so that would have been kind of good information had I known. Now they only did it for a certain period of time, not the entire
Yeah.
time, but nonetheless, they felt that because people were walking, and I was trying to say to them, look, they're going to get over to the side, it'll be
Yeah.
okay. They're like, no, it's not safe. We're shutting everything down, right?
Yeah, they seem to manage, they seem to figure that out before really very many, very many people actually finish the race. They seem to
Right.
move it up to Westridge to have Westridge open.
Can we,
So when I was at that end, kind of watching how it was going, and there wasn't really much of a backup of cars. Everybody pretty much either turned up Westridge or made a U and went back out.
Right.
I felt a little sorry. Some of the bikes, there's some cyclists who came up and they were just intending to, go around the loop on the relatively flat Portola Alpine loop. And the cops are like, well, you can just go over Westridge. all these cyclists making that turn.
that's not quite flat, yeah, it's not quite flat.
Not quite the same loop they were expecting. Yeah.
No.
Well,
But
I
yeah.
think one of the biggest issues with that, and I don't think the sheriff was aware of that, is, part of the reason, the main reason we keep that open is because of Springdown. And they have said, if you shut it down, you shut off our business and we'll,
Yeah.
whatever. So, yeah, I think we can probably communicate with the sheriff better. But I think the finish line, what Bill said, and John, you forgot about the coolest thing about the finish line, the banner, the big banner.
Exactly.
Big inflatable, big
That
Those
inflatable
huge,
finish
those
line.
huge.
You see where they
Um,
were.
Bill said they still had problems at the finish line with separating the cyclists and the runners. And they did
Right.
have some cyclists that ran into the runners because they weren't slowing down. They weren't getting out of the way. So I
Yeah.
still think next year we need to think about how to keep them separate and safe.
when do we put
Do
a
you guys know what-
kibosh on bicyclists?
I'm sorry,
When do we put the kibosh on bicyclists
you mean for the whole race?
for the whole race?
Oh, talk to Mr. Myers about that.
Yeah, that definitely has grown, by the way. I think actually, because it's big difference between running, 3.5 miles, especially because that first mile and a half is all uphill.
Yeah.
And the bicyclists who just can take off, and it's, a 10-minute instead of a 30-minute event. So it's popular amongst them. But, the only other thing I can think is maybe starting them earlier, getting all the bicyclists out of the way. So there's just in fact, I'm still a little surprised there's that many bicyclists when the runners are coming across, because they should be a whole lot faster. But maybe there's something we can do there to turn it into 2 races rather than all taking it. I kind of like where there's 400 people, or whatever it is, right, out in the crowd and everybody's all excited. There's something to be said for that, right? It's a fun start,
Mhm.
but that's, we should watch out for that.
Yeah. The only thing I thought maybe was putting the finish line for the bicyclists further up. So kind of more around Windy Hill. But I don't know. We could talk about it next year. We don't need to solve it right here. But
Yep.
anything else about Zots? Everybody like their hats? Did anybody complain that they didn't get another T-shirt to wash their car?
Yeah, not at all.
Do you like your pasta
Not at
heated
all.
up?
It's okay.
In fact, a bunch of us were wearing our hats when the softball game, and everyone was asking, how do I get those hats? Of course, I have some extras.
You have some extra T-shirts too. So good job, John. Thank you for doing that. The town picnic,
Yeah.
I think went fine. Hard to estimate how many people we get, but there were hundreds, I know. A lot of fun families, kids were enjoying the jumpies. To the best of my knowledge, no mishaps or injuries or anything like that. The food was going great. The booths were going great. We had that nice little bluegrass band, which people really enjoyed this time. So I think it was great all the way around.
Yeah, I actually like that, the band being right down at the much more central.
Yeah.
Right? And it wasn't this thing where it was on the side and it was just a few people. Everybody was basically was able to
Right,
hear it.
right.
So that's a
We
good
didn't
setup.
have the fire engine because they had a big gas line break in Woodside. They had to go
Oops.
handle. Imagine that, throwing off a picnic for a gas line break. Jeez, where are their priorities?
Yeah.
Okay, anything else about South Stotson Town Picnic?
Oh, thanks.
Okay,
Yeah,
till
thanks,
next
Patty.
year.
It was a huge amount of work, Patty.
No,
Appreciate
for all of us. Are you kidding? Okay, letter B, under old business, pickleball nets and line painting. So
Yeah.
the lines are painted.
Yeah.
Yay! John, you been out there to play?
I have not played there. I still don't because I go to Alpine Hills, where they're dedicated pickleball courts.
Yeah.
I'm on
That's-
the pickleball group. Oh, John, maybe you were going to say this. They're wonderfully thrilled. Very
Yes,
happy with
they
the
are.
lines.
Yeah, I've talked to many pickleball players and they are over the moon. They're very nice. So we're happy about that.
I have a question though. I think one thing I was just wanting to ask the people out there, not the pickleball people, but the tennis people, because as a kind of observer from the sidelines there, it looks like I mean, they're clearly great for pickleball. I'm not so sure how the tennis people feel, where it's
Yeah.
probably much harder. I think if they're just hitting back and forth, it's fine because they see the net, right? And there was only
Right.
so much worry about the lines. But I feel like and I don't think we should do anything differently. I just thought I'd comment that my first reaction was, boy, I wonder how the tennis players feel about this.
Yeah,
'cause
I
it's much-
haven't, I agree with you. I'm not gonna go out and pull them because I'm pretty sure I know what the answer is gonna be, but like I haven't gotten any emails or anything from any tennis people.
Yep.
At all, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's anything we can do about it at this point. I still think it was the right trade-off, given the number of pickleball players there are. And
Yes.
how
yes.
difficult it was to see the lines
Yeah.
before, and I'm sure you can still
Yeah.
play tennis.
Yeah.
But nonetheless,
Well, they're
Good deal.
done.
Yep.
On the pickleball nets. So John and I have actually had a couple meetings with Jeremy and Howard, at least one I know. We are still in discussion about where to store the nets. So that's the big hang up right now. The Jeremy and the town, Howard, do not want the nets stored on the courts. Parks and Rec still thinks that's the right solution, but we are working with Jeremy and Howard to try and come up with something more amenable.
It's actually it's not Jeremy and Howard, it's our insurance company that doesn't want them on the courts when they're not.
Oh, well, that's not, okay, that's the first time I've heard that.
Liability.
They don't want stuff lying around on the court that people might trip over or fly into or that kind of stuff.
Like a skate ramp?
Yeah, like a skateboard ramp that we had
The
there
skate
for 8
ramp
years.
was nailed to the floor, so I guess.
No, it
that's a
wasn't.
Fixture, yeah.
I don't think it
Was
was.
it
No,
heavy?
it wasn't. No, it was
Oh,
movable.
it wasn't.
I do know that Ladera Oaks has the movable pickleball nets and they store them on the court.
I know.
Okay.
You know what? I'm not going there, people.
Maybe-
Anyway, so, I mean, one of my biggest frustrations is we haven't even ordered them yet. And we can order them and try and solve this in parallel. But the good news is, first of all, we found some nets that are lighter and that are less expensive. and that would be more movable if we had to move them outside the courts, which it looks like now we're going to have to move them outside the courts. And the good news on them is that they've only got a lead time of 1 week. The bad news on the lighter nets is that they're going to wear down probably faster. And that we might have to replace them more often than we would the heavier ones. They're going to get a lot of usage. They're going to get rolled in and out 2 or 3 times a day. And that's just something I've told Jeremy and Howard that, you know, as a town, we're going to have to budget for, I think, net replacement at least every year, because they're just going to get too much usage. Now, the current thinking on the storage, Howard and the Public Works went out and they tore out all those grapevines that were on the fence, growing on the fence. And what they discovered is that the grapevine, the root system of the grapevines are, if they continue to grow the way they're growing, they're gonna destroy the fence. So Howard and is proposing that we tear out the grapevines, not replant anything. So this is on the part of the courts that faces the parking lot. So between the tennis courts and Springdown. So if we tear those grapevines out along that line, there's a space of dirt where the vines were planted that we could cement over, and we could store the courts, store the nets there.
How is that different from an insurance point of view?
How's that different from what?
How is that any different from an insurance point of view?
I didn't ask that question, David, because like, frankly, this is the first I've heard of the insurance issue. So
This now outside, it's outside of the fence, right? You're talking about.
yeah, it's outside of the fence.
Outside the fence, then that should be
Yeah.
fine. You won't trip over
Yeah,
it if you're playing on the court.
Is there a risk of the nets getting stolen, vandalized more?
Well, yes,
harmed?
yes,
And-
there
and
is.
Do we lock the courts at?
No, we
are the
don't.
Tennis courts locked at
No,
night, so, okay,
Nope, they're not locked.
okay.
These lighter nets, I mean, they're still heavy and bulky. I mean, you know, you'd have to put a pickleball net in your car, which would be hard. But is there a danger of that? Absolutely. Did someone come along and cut them up? Absolutely.
Let's also talk about the difference real quick, though. I mean, the other nets were $2,500 each. These are like $400.
Yeah,
Right. And
Right.
they are, and actually the big problem with the other ones was how heavy they were. There's no way you'd move them without 2 people at least. These definitely roll. And these are the exact same nets, as far as I can tell. They're certainly the almost exact same as the ones at Alpine Hills, which they leave out unlocked. In that little, if you know Alpine Hills, where the pickleball courts are, in that little area right next to them. Right, so they haven't had any trouble over there with them. I don't expect it at all in the town center either, personally. Right, we leave other things out.
yeah, I don't either. I mean,
Yeah.
if they want to vandalize something, they can come in and cut up the tennis nets too,
Exactly.
which they haven't done.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the plan that's been proposed. The issue with that plan is it has to go before the Conservation Committee, because the Conservation Committee is the one that wanted greenery planted
Yeah,
along the fence.
the grapevines are nice.
Thank you, Dave. So it's on the agenda for the Conservation Committee next week. I'm going to try and go to the meeting and plead my case for, you know, just, I don't know what, I don't know. This has gotten so convoluted, it's crazy. Anyway, so that's the current plan. If the Conservation Committee approves it, we can move forward. We have to, like I said, pave that, order the nets, we'll get them. If the Conservation Committee says no, then we're probably back to storing them on the other side between the tennis nets and the softball field, which there is room. The issue with that is it's like dirt gravel. And right now there's no plan to pave that. And if you drag pickleball nets across dirt and gravel, you're gonna drag dirt and gravel onto the courts. And there's gonna be a lot more wear and tear on the nets. So I think the parking lot solution is better, but it's not a slam dunk because we don't know how the Conservation Committee is gonna react.
Personally, I think that if they were to vote, again, so all we're talking about is trying to taking a longer period of time to figure this out. I don't think it's such a big deal personally to leave it on dirt and gravel for a while.
If that's what we have to do, that's what we have to do. I mean, I just want the nets in here, really. I can't believe it's taking 6 months to make this happen. But anyway, that's where we are.
And it's 4 net, how many nets is it? 4?
4.
Yes.
No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Yes. 4. Yeah,
This is because the town council did not want to install them semi-permanently.
correct.
Yes. Is there 4
Some
or
of the
8?
town council.
Right.
What was that, Craig?
Is there 8?
Some of the town council,
Some of the town council.
majority, but it was
Yeah.
not all of us.
It could be one of your rallying cries, Craig. I have told Jeremy and Howard many times, they're probably tired of hearing it, that to me, this is an interim solution. And that we are gonna still try and pursue the dedicated pickleball courts. Howard has recommended that we reach out to the tennis community and get their input, which, I can tell you what it's gonna be right now. I don't need to know why I need to do that, but I need to do that, so I will do it. And we'll just keep moving forward. Any comments, questions about that? Plain teeth. Okay, C, dog park. I have been in contact with Judith Murphy and John Silver, which is the recommendation that was made, I think, a couple months ago,
Yep.
to try and pull them into a discussion about, for John Silver, the fact that he kind of leads the Rogue Dog Park League. And with Judith Murphy, because she was on the Conservation Committee and had, at the time that we had recommended a dog park, offered her assistance in helping us to find an alternative location. So the thought was if we get Parks and Rec, John Silver, Conservation together and say, look, how can we try and solve this? That at least we'll keep the communication going, discussion going. I've talked to John Silver, I've talked to Judith. They are open to having those conversations. Judith has been out of town. So as soon as she gets back into town, I plan on trying to pull some of us together and at least starting that discussion.
Great.
Any comments, questions there?
Let me know what that is. I'd be just kind of curious. I'm not a dog person, but I'd like to know how that goes. I spent many days up there with them anyway. Because of my grandmother.
Yeah. Well, I was down, no, I won't even go there. I was down there when they were delivering the furniture for the town picnic on Friday morning and the place was crawling with dogs. I was
That's
totally
for sure.
pissed off, but
And guess what? Some of us play soccer and softball and go pick up dog. I know they're good about it, but they're not 100%.
you never be
Right, and
100%.
When you're not a
Never be
dog
100%.
person, it's like, it's like
I'm a
wiping
dog
somebody else's
person and you can
baby.
never be 100%. Trust me.
Right.
So the mornings at the town center is different than the John Silver
Yes.
dog meetings. So
Yeah,
there's two
yes.
different groups. Okay.
I know, yeah, at least 2 different groups, yes.
But the dog group moved over to the soccer field because they got kind of into issues with the schools, right? Both Corte Madera and.
Well, but John is still going to the schools.
They
Yeah,
are
the
back.
schools are tough because they're under construction right now.
Exactly. Yep.
You can't get out in the fields there.
State law that there's no dogs on school property.
I
Yeah,
agree with you
that-
100%,
that
Dave.
didn't bother them too much, though.
Yeah. The state law everywhere.
Okay. D, Parks and Rec Committee, town classes. I'm sorry, guys, I have not done anything here. I was supposed to talk to Jeremy. Jeremy had kind of insinuated at one point, or I guess that's not the word, inferred. Is that the word? At some point that Parks and Rec should take a more active role in the town classes.
Yep.
And we had a discussion at this committee, and we're not very much in favor of it. And we had some pushbacks as to why. So I was tasked with going off and having that conversation with Jeremy, and I have not done that, but it's on my list.
And I know we're going to talk about the charter, but the one thing.
Hi,
and
Carrie.
this-
Hi.
Hi, Carrie. Oh, I don't see her.
Hi.
Is-
Sorry, Karen.
This is as related, but perhaps off a bit, is when I was looking at, I think we talked about this, the fee structure. Many towns or municipalities offer a discount for residents.
Mhm.
There's a different fee structure for residents versus non-residents. And
Mhm.
that's something that I would like to see Portola Valley consider more seriously, because right now it's the same fee whether you're a resident or a non-resident.
Is it really? I thought it was
Yeah.
different, because I remember signing up for pickleball. And I thought it was a discounted rate for residents.
Well, when I
Is it-
looked, I looked briefly at some of the classes and I didn't see a difference in price. Residents can sign up earlier
Right.
than
I know that.
non-residents, but I didn't see a difference in the price.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'll go back and double check.
Okay, all right. Well, that's something I can bring up with Jeremy. I don't know. Yeah, that was one of the things that we pushed back on as a committee, and that we don't control the fee structure. You know, the town sets that.
But
So-
not for the classes. For the classes, it's all private instructors and they set their fees. We charge the instructor a fee for the use of our rooms. But they decide the pricing, so they would have to agree to have different charges for residents versus non-residents. Or the town could, waive the fees or reduce the fees or something for non-residents, but we don't set the rates.
Okay, that's helpful.
We've had that discussion a long time ago with the fields too, and the issue in the field, just so you know, I'm sure it's different, the classes, but is that first of all, it's just a matter of what the leagues pay, not so much what they charge, because those are two kind of separate things, and the leagues in general feel that they don't want to do that, because if you think about Alpine Strikers, they kind of use Menlo Park fields. Same thing with Little League, and it's like how much are you going to do this across these leagues that kind of cross borders, right? And so I think they're probably not going to do that in terms of the end fee that they charge the players, and so it can still be that way in terms of with the town, but it's just we decided ultimately just to not do it that way and chose a different structure when we went through that. And I don't know how it would work with the classes, right? If they really wanted to try to differentiate from what they were charging students, even if the town had different fees, right? So anyway.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
E is the housing element. There's no new information to report there. Town has submitted their initial plan to the state, which I've gone over with you before, includes potential housing next to Ford Field Park, but no other recreational facilities are impacted. We're still waiting for the state response on that. That's supposed to come, Craig, in the next, like mid-November, I heard.
Another 2 or 3 weeks. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, 2 or 3 weeks. We're supposed to get a call, and then it's another 30 days or something after that for them to send a letter.
Okay,
So Woodside had their call, I want to say about 30 or 45 days ago, and they just got their letter on Friday.
yeah, I read it. That was pretty somber.
What was the elevator talk about that?
The short version was bad Woodside, don't
Yeah,
do
very bad Woodside.
that.
Go back
but
and
they're-
start over,
they're-
basically.
Yeah, they had just a lot of stuff that was missing, just sections of their document that they basically didn't fill in. So a lot of it was the state asking about that, but then they also had close to 100% of their requirement they're trying to fill with ADUs, and the state said you can't really do that unless you really prove that those units are going to exist. And so a bunch of stuff that, you know, everybody kind of knew, but the state wrote it down. So now they have to follow up.
Yeah, they were pretty hard on them. Karen and I are actually on the team that is developing the ADU survey that's going to go out hopefully sometime soon. We got a lot of work to do. And we read the Woodside report because we're part of the purpose of the survey is to use it as support for our housing element plan. And so we have to have specifics about ADUs, how many we're going to build, how many in the pipeline, how many are potentially going to be rented to people in affordable housing ranges, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a big tracking mechanism that the state made very clear in their response to Woodside that you better figure it out and you better track it or you're in trouble. It was pretty, they were out at the woodshed for quite a while, I'm sure. F, Hawthorne with an S. So is it pronounced Hawthorns?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Hawthorne's property planning. Karen, do you have an update for us?
Well, just very quickly, I've no report from being the official liaison for our committee, but I did attend the a meeting today that was open to the public, and they're soliciting input for potential uses for Hawthorns. There is an conservation easement that really limits a lot of what they can do there. But and there weren't very many people that attended this meeting, but the issues, as I mentioned earlier, they surround really the parking and the traffic. But the structures that are on the building have restrictions placed on them too. They're still really trying to figure out, solicit input very early in what I would say the planning stages are. I don't know if there's any questions. I don't know if I can answer them.
Do you know what kind of time frame they're looking at?
They did not put an actual time frame out, but they have 5 phases and they're in phase 2. And so there's let me just check my notes.
From what they put out before, I believe it's about 2 years-ish of planning, and then they'll start, actually executing cutting trails and stuff after that.
Right,
So 2.5 years. So
and
it's a good long time they're going to be working on it.
So some of these phases were vision and goals, which they've completed, existing condition, and they're assessing that right now. And then programming, conceptual planning, and then area plan, environmental review, and then the implementation. So as I said, we're in the early stages.
There's one other constraint too that they mentioned. I did a site tour probably about 2 months ago. The area down on the Los Trancos side of the property where the creek runs through there, that they reckon is a very sensitive habitat area. So they're probably not going to open up that side of things to the public. They were still thinking about it and whether there were any possibilities, but the way they were describing it, it sounded a lot like it's highly unlikely that side would be opened up. So it would probably be, the access in would be from the Alpine Road side across from Roberts, and that's where whatever traffic impacts and parking and everything else would be mostly being considered on that side. And the Los Trancos side, they basically just don't want people going near the creek and disturbing the habitat there. So they're probably not going to have that as an option.
It's going to turn into a busy corner with the Willow Commons going up and Richards.
Multi-use housing and all of that.
Yeah,
The
Willow
other-
Commons probably won't have a lot of traffic because I don't think most of the residents there will be drivers.
But there's going to be a lot of construction over in that area.
Oh, construction there will be, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, but that'll be done in a year or two.
Yeah. And then the only other thing that was mentioned is that they said they are in discussions with the town about widening the trail along Alpine Road on that far side of the street from Roberts.
Yeah, we've been talking to them about that for a while now, probably, well, since they acquired the property or even before it, as part of the Safe Routes to School program. The Trails Committee has been talking about essentially taking the trail that's along Alpine Road and moving it to the other side of the fence into what's now the open space property, which gives you an opportunity to widen it and make a multi-user trail there where you could have horses side by side, essentially two trails where you have horses and then you have, something for bicycles where they wouldn't conflict with each other, and let the kids be able to bike from Corte Madera down to Alpine Hills in the afternoons.
And tear up Triangle Park.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Karen. Okay, G, Parks and Rec Committee Charter. Everybody do their homework?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes, ma'am.
And,
Yes,
Pat,
ma'am.
Patty, I still could not find this charter that you gave us on the site anywhere.
Really?
So, yeah, I mean, the only thing I saw was the very brief, about the Parks and Rec Committee, et cetera. So
I wonder
if
where I
it's
got it.
there, I don't know, but if it's there, we need to, once we get this, we need to,
Yeah,
put it somewhere where it's easier to find.
I'm Karen. I'm trying to work with Melissa. She has a bunch of stuff on her plate, and this is not top of the pile right now. As a new town clerk coming in, all of the committee charters and authorized numbers of members and all of that information. It would be really nice to have that on each committee's page, and it's not currently there. So it's on the list of stuff that I'm asking her to do sort of slowly over time as we get a chance is make it more available. Because when I try and find committee charters, the way that I normally find them is I search on the website and end up finding them in the council minutes where we approve the change to the charter. And you're never quite sure, is that the most recent one or not? So, so I agree. Getting them, more easily findable will be a good thing to do. And if you're updating your charter, then we can do that pretty easily.
Yeah, I don't know where I got it. I would assume I got it off the web, but I wouldn't know which page at all. I might have been a search just on charter as well. Anyway, so this is our charter. I actually took a crack at crossing out some stuff.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody else had a chance to take a look at it. Most of what I crossed out had to do with things like classes,
Right.
which we don't do right now. And our part of this also is it's not just a charter. I want to go and look at all of the web pages for Parks and Rec. I want to make an inventory of them, and I want to update them. For instance, right now we still have COVID instructions for use of the tennis courts. Those should come off. And there's just a lot of old information out there. And I know, that's probably the case with a lot of committees, but I at least like to get the work done so that we're ready to update the website, and maybe Carrie's got some time, we can do it. Did anybody else have any thoughts if they looked at this charter?
Why don't we go through it? Because
Okay.
there was only one little thing for me, which was I thought it was funny that in the charter it talked about Zots to Tots,
I know.
which isn't some charter activity. I felt
Historically,
really,
Zots to
now
Tots.
really responsible. Now we have to do it because it's in our charter.
Well, it probably should be the first one because it's probably the most, it's the most visible thing that we do. Well, maybe not. That's not true. We do the fields.
Yeah.
We
stuff
didn't
like
talk,
that.
it doesn't talk about the town picnic, but that's because at one point we didn't do it and then now we do and things like that. So I
Okay.
think events should be talked about broadly, not specifically.
Okay. Well, maybe we can go through it. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, and we've got, to Craig's point, we've probably got time to work on it. But I just want to get the position started. So objectives to develop, promote, and maintain quality recreational and community enrichment programs, recreational facilities, and park areas in the town of Portola Valley. So I thought that was okay, with the exception of community enrichment.
Yeah.
I don't know what people, is there anything else that we do? Okay, I'm gonna take silence as,
I think that's right. I don't know what community enrichment is. It feels a little very broad. I mean, maybe that's what the town picnic is. I don't know.
I was thinking of it as classes, like,
Mhm.
painting classes and yoga in the town, center.
Yeah,
Because,
I sorry, go ahead.
no, I think it's a good deletion.
Okay,
Patty, did I
Yeah.
hear you say you wanted Carrie to help with something? I'm willing to help. I'm just not sure where I'm going.
Carrie, I think she meant Carrie, our town communications director, different Carrie.
oh, yes, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, then you can call me Carol, because when my mother was mad at me, she always called me Carol Ann.
Oh,
If I'm
okay,
a bad girl, give me a job, because
All
I need a job, and I'm confused because I'm reading all of these duties and functions, and I feel like I'm out of the loop.
no, well, no, I mean, Carrie, that's part of the reason we're doing this, is this is so old that we want to
Okay,
upgrade it and make sure it's reflecting what we actually work on. And then take that information to all of our other web pages and make sure they're aligned as well.
okay, what's the easiest way to do this? I mean, when we all talk, I'm such a personal person that I find it very difficult, like at this time. So,
Well, what I have done is I set this up in Google Docs. I don't know how many people are with Google Docs, but we can, if we each go in, we can each make our own edits, and there was copied over here on the side.
mhm.
And then we come together and we talk about each other's comments, and we can accept them or we can not. That's usually the way it works. But if people aren't familiar or comfortable with Google Docs, it's a little harder.
I think because, well, I like the fact that
Just an
you went-
online, it's a real-time editing tool.
Yeah, I like the fact that you went in and took a stab at it. And if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind just spending a few minutes right now to get the input from people versus trying to do it on Google Docs if people aren't familiar with it.
Okay, That's
I
fine,
agree,
but there's-
especially because, it's once you kind of go offline from here, I don't know, maybe I might type something, but I think it'd be, personally, I prefer just to run through it quickly here and just,
okay, well,
I
let's,
kind of like your edits already, right? I kinda
Okay.
like what you've done.
I'm good with that. Okay, so that's the objective. Duties and functions. Number 1, advise the town council as to park and recreational needs and suggest steps to be taken to fill those needs. I feel like we do that.
Yes?
Town council doesn't always listen to us, but hey, it's their job. I'm kidding, Craig.
We always listen. We just don't necessarily do.
Oh, I see.
They hear you.
We hear you. We just don't necessarily acquiesce.
I know. No, you don't allow us to rebut information that's given incorrectly, but we won't go there.
It's a different
Okay.
story. That-
2, review proposals that affect park and recreational activities and/or facilities. I think we do that.
Yes.
Agree?
3, advocate for park and recreational issues and assist in providing information to town residents. I think we do that.
That's a big,
4, I crossed this one out. Can you read it? Assist in advising the residents of Portola Valley as to recreation and enrichment program availability. I've never done that. Maybe
That
we
sounds-
should, but I don't think we do that.
That's a bit of promotion of what's going on, other than our specific events. I don't think we do that. But
Any other thoughts there?
okay, is that, I'm rereading number 3,
Yeah.
providing information to town residents.
Mhm.
That's my big one. How much information are we giving them that's clear? That's what I keep getting is questions. And I myself have questions.
Okay, can you give me an example?
What is the easiest way to find out what the recreation issues are? And where is it posted? Just specifically, all by itself.
When you say recreation issues, do you mean recreational programs?
The programs,
Okay,
how much of the town center is explicit to residents that they don't have to go up to it visually and check it out? Is it out there for us all to understand? Or is it something that I'm not sure? Because I'm not sure, I'm thinking others aren't sure.
Okay. I mean, I think the most obvious place to go is to read our minutes from our committees, right? Because that's where we talk about the issues and changes in policy and things like that. I realize not everybody reads minutes. I think that's fine. I
Well,
think
that-
can I give an example to Carrie that maybe could help?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's talk about the pickleball courts and the lines and the nets. So there's a situation in which Parks and Rec, namely Patty, has been advocating for these issues, and then in working with Cindy and others, and in providing that information out. Or the dog park, where we have an issue and we're working on that, and then we're talking to other residents, and when we get some sort of resolution, if that were to happen, then we would be providing that information out. That's the way I read it. I don't know. Does anyone else have any thoughts on that?
No, I think about it that way too, as having information, because I don't think people are going to go to a site and look at our minutes. I really don't. I mean, it should be specific. Where does it come out? Does it come out in the newspaper that we get? Is it posted somewhere? How can people read it where they really see it and it means it? You know,
so
rather,
things like tennis, like pickleball group play times are posted on our webpage.
okay. And my thing is it always just on the webpage? Because people do go to the park, they're walking their dogs, they're with their children,
No, it's posted on a bulletin board outside the tennis courts.
and it is.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll walk there tomorrow to see it.
Okay.
Well,
I mean, if there's other things we can do to be more transparent, I would definitely welcome the opportunity.
Yeah, I'm a visual, so to me, when I see something posted, I go, it's in black or white. That's it.
Okay. Okay.
So I think there's probably is an issue, you know, I think when Carrie joined particularly, we had discussions around this, right? Where I think there are undoubtedly residents who feel like they don't really know kind of some things, whatever that is. They look and they're like, how am I supposed to schedule this? Or why is it work like this or that, right? And and it's hard to kind of get those answers. So, you know, one is you can go on the website and get a certain amount. You can call the town staff, and I think often they'll try to direct us to us. But I still think there's, you know, I think in broadly there's always going to be a fair amount of people feeling like they need better access or better understanding of kind of why things are the way they are, or what, you know, whether they can do something different. You know, I think there's certain people that kind of know how the town works, how it operates, and can definitely do that. And I think we actually as a committee have been enabling that for those that know to come to us, right? Or, you know, but when there's, you know, there's probably hundreds of people that do, and then another 1,000 or 2,000 that don't know, you know, or I don't know. And so, you know, I do think we can have that to say and try to figure out how is it that we make it more visible, easier for people to try to understand, to get the answers to their questions. Let's put it that way, right?
Right.
Whatever those.
Right.
Anyways, I think it's a good discussion. And by the way, just to jump also ahead, I think we should go through the charter, but I also think that at some point we have a couple of members that probably would be good to try to get figure out what it is that they could own, right? As a program, a project, an issue, or whatever it is, right? And whether it's Carrie or Karen, for instance. And let's try to, once we get through this, let's try to kind of understand that. Just clearly, Patty, you have a bunch of them, right? You have the town picnic, you got the pickleball, you've got the town, anyway, there's a bunch, right? I have a couple, you especially mostly associated with the fact that outside of the town, the Parks and Rec, right, that I run a couple leagues. Dave is on Little League, but anyway, I think it would be good to try to think about what, some of those major kind of what we want to get done and, what they could own. Let's put it that way.
I think that's a great suggestion. I agree. And believe me, I don't want to own everything. I just get frustrated when nothing happens, so I jump in. But yeah, I think to that point, and to Carrie's point, looking at our website, taking out all the crap that's there that doesn't apply anymore, and then making it more informative, making it more useful to residents to find out what they need, to try and anticipate some of the questions, I think is a great goal for us in the next, whatever time frame.
I'm for that.
Okay, Carrie, we might give you that project then.
Yeah, if somebody can help me with a computer, because that's not my forte.
Oh, yeah. You don't need another computer.
But I do like the
but
idea of community outreach, right?
Yeah.
Something that does kind of enable people to kind of be able to kind of communicate with us more easily, we'll say, or get their answers.
Just out of curiosity, if there was something posted at the tennis courts where you could, if you were standing there and you said, this is what you look up on your phone, and it comes out with the answers, something that would be immediate instead of waiting and going on a town site, et cetera, it would still be at a town site, but it would be instant. Does that sound ridiculous?
No, not at all.
If I go up to a tennis court in La Quinta and they said, no one can play here between 9 and 12, but call this number, blah, 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 and you'll get in. To me, that's simple. But then I'm simple.
Yeah, actually, we do have that capability. We have our court reservation app, which people have on their phone, and they can go down to the court and they can look up the schedule, and they can't tell who's reserved the court, but they can tell that the court has been blocked and reserved.
So going up to the fence, they could get that instantly.
They could get it on their phone instantly. Yes, they could.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
They could.
Then somebody
there a
has
phone
to
number?
teach me how to do it.
Actually, I kind of like the idea that she said, which is, again, I think a lot of people are probably like, I don't know what I'm linking to, but here's a phone number to call.
Right.
I don't know if there's
Or that if somebody has reserved it and have been smart enough to do that ahead of time, because I know that's what Alpine's doing, which I don't do, at all. I'll be the first to say that. And they see that, oh, I'm standing here walking my dog, but between 11:30 and 1:30, nobody's on the courts. What can I do? I want to play.
Right.
Can they dial it in right there?
Yes, they can.
Okay, then somebody has.
Terry, I think you're asking really great questions, and actually it's kind of pain in my mind that, we do have this app that people use to reserve courts,
Mhm.
but we don't have anything on the website that, to your point, lets them know that they can do it right there on the court. They can
Right.
download it to their phone. That I get phone calls at 10 o'clock in the morning saying I'm at the courts. nobody's using it, can I go on? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Sure, let me look at the app and see if it's, but, yeah,
That makes you too involved in having to be at the Ever Ready. Do you want to be at the Ever Ready?
no.
I wouldn't want to be. Okay, so
So
if I'm
what-
going to Alpine, if I go to Alpine and I want to play tennis, I can go there and basically see when the court's available, even if I haven't done it from home.
You can do
That's-
that here too. You
Okay.
can, you just have to have the app on your phone.
Okay, so then we all need to teach everyone how to do that, especially me.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing is that for the charter purposes, that the wording is good, but that we could do a much better job with our education and outreach program about all of our programs and apps and how to do things. That's what you're asking for, right, Carrie?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You said it perfectly.
Okay,
I
I
think
think that's a good goal for us to have, is to really improve our communications.
Yep, I agree with that. I will make a note of that. Thank you, Carrie. That's great.
It takes an old broad that doesn't know anything to ask the questions.
Oh, I don't know. Well, you may end up owning it, so be careful.
Hey, by the way, I've got some great pictures of the finish line at the picnic. Who do I
Oh, do
send?
you really? Yeah.
Oh, I've got great ones because I was lucky. I was at what was the brook right next to Westridge. I was there. It was
Oh.
awesome to see.
Oh.
It was the happiest moment I've ever seen with so many beautiful children and people. It was the ice cream given out and the awards. It was
Yeah,
unbelievable.
That's
It was
right. We did have the pops there, John, this year. We
Yeah.
had the pops.
It
Thank you.
was fabulous. It was fabulous. Really
We had the
fabulous.
pops. We had the water. We had the finish line banner. It was
So
great.
who do I send these pictures to? I want to get them off my phone.
Oh, send them to me.
Okay, I'll do.
Okay, number 5, keep well informed as to use and condition of playing fields, parks and recreational facilities, as well as to the status recreational programs that should be accomplished through quarterly regular communication with the recreational facilities coordinator and presidents of athletic leagues, town public works department, and representatives of the athletic leagues who use our facilities. I didn't know what to cross out here. I just thought it sounded too complicated.
Is there a recreational facilities coordinator and presidents of athletic leagues? Or is that, I mean, is there somebody who's
I-
designated that?
I didn't think so. There are representatives of the athletic leagues who use our facilities. But John
Yeah.
and Dave, you could probably answer that question more than I could.
Yeah, I like the change from quarterly to regular and just the athletic and just representative of leagues. Only change I'd have to your red lines is say leagues and clubs.
It's true, yeah.
Like that?
Yep. But it is a good question, is who is the right is it recreational facilities coordinator or is it town public's work department?
I didn't know we had a recreational facilities coordinator.
That's Carrie Chin. I don't know what her.
I
official-
think it's a member of the town staff.
Yeah.
Oh, it
Are
is?
they part of public works or what are they?
Well, if it's Carrie, not technically, but she sort of manages
Right, so we should.
What's
should
her
figure out what the
official
right-
title? Yeah,
I don't
what's
know.
her,
Communications analyst, communications director, something like that. I don't remember.
So should I leave recreational facilities coordinator on here?
Yeah, given that it's capitalized, I think it's probably even if it's not her title, it's a role that town staff has.
May want to just circle back with Jeremy about what the right term there for some member of town staff that we're talking to.
Okay. I can't do anything because all your faces are over the thing here. Okay, I'll circle back on that one. Okay. Let's see. Got to get out of this now. Okay. Sorry. Number 6, I crossed out, encourage, coordinate, and advise citizens and private organization in establishing local recreational and community enrichment programs. I didn't think we did that.
This would be if you're recruiting for programs at the,
I assume it'd be like finding a yoga instructor or something. That's how I
yeah,
interpret it.
or a hip hop instructor or whatever.
Yeah,
Oh.
samba class or something.
Oh, okay. I was also thinking that could be when pickleball was established. But that. I don't, I'm not sure we do it that much, so, and I'm new, so I'm gonna defer to you guys on that
Yeah,
one.
I read it more as the other way around, that rather than somebody says, I want a yoga class, where can we find a yoga instructor? It's, I'm a yoga instructor and I'd like to teach a class. What do I need to do? But
But that's still.
But we
I mean,
don't,
yeah, if you guys are sort of, it looks like you're phasing out all the stuff that's about classes, and so then it would make sense to delete number 6 either way.
Yeah, I mean, we don't do it today, is the point, and I don't anticipate us doing it.
Well, one thing you could just do is just take out community enrichment, since we're not quite sure what that really is, but local recreational programs, I mean, that's that we do.
That's a great compromise, John.
I agree.
Okay, wait a minute. Bridge. I gotta get rid of you guys' faces here.
You can, there's a little tab at the top that
Yeah, there we go.
you can
Okay.
compress us.
Get rid of this, and we encourage coordinated advice citizens and establishing local recreational programs. So we're just getting rid of this.
Yeah,
It's an extra space.
we definitely do that. I
Oh.
feel whether it's pickleball, we got softball started after COVID. We run things.
And we may have a bocce ball league someday.
Yeah. I'll tell you one that people have been talking about a long time, it's never happened, was a basketball league. We don't have a basketball league for some reason. And nobody quite grabbed it, but it's something that, that if anybody wanted to do it, we would encourage them and help them.
Okay. Do we really do anything with private organizations? Or should we just leave it there?
Yeah.
There could be something
I like
somewhere.
The leagues, I mean, a lot of leagues are essentially private organizations.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, they are. Okay. Number 7, draft and recommend a budget. That we do. Number 8, recommended use policies concerning parks and recreational facilities, including fees, access, and rules pertaining to use. That we do. Organize and run the annual town picnic and fun run. Historically, Zots to Tots.
Yeah. This is
Should I
the
just-
one where I thought that this was too specific. I don't know if that's in a charter, that wouldn't go into the Constitution. It's something we do. I would talk about it more broadly, but again, that's just was my first reaction when I saw it. It's like, well, our charter is we have to do a town picnic, so we better do the town picnic. There was actually a couple of years where, it was different people running this, and they didn't want to do Zots to Tots because they didn't want to do both. They wanted to focus on just one thing, just the town picnic. But according to the charter, we had to have done it.
What if we just said community events or community recreational events? And then if we had, let's say we had a town bingo night or something like that, it would encompass that as well, right? It could encompass the picnic and any sort of town recreational events. Does that work for you, John?
I think that'd be good. Just again, something more broad. Because the other thing that, there used to be other things that came and went that we necessarily didn't do, but we could have, which like Blues and Barbecue or I don't know. There was now a lot of the cultural arts does a lot of that stuff. So I don't know if there's a need, but things have moved around in terms of the major events, in terms of who's responsible for it.
Yeah, we
So I'd rather keep it broad.
it may need to be say like, well, I was gonna say community recreational events, but that's not true because the town picnic is not really a recreational event.
You don't think jumpies are
It is-
recreational?
It is for the rest of us. For you guys who are working, it's not
Well-
recreational, but those of us who are participating, it's plenty recreational.
I
And
think
and the
we need-
run, the
Do we
run
need to
associated
differentiate
with it.
between the town picnic and like the band things, the concerts?
Yeah, exactly. It's
Oh.
not the
What
not
if-
the cultural arts stuff. It's the recreational event stuff. Well, I would suggest maybe putting in like, for example, the town picnic and Zots to Tots. So even if it's, written more broadly, it's still sort of clear that at least for now, you guys are still planning to
Yeah.
do those two, because otherwise this is going to come to the council for ratification and people are going to be freaked out that you guys are ditching the picnic. and Zots.
If, for example, is
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
Not
Should I
ditching.
stipulate, to organize and run community events that utilize our recreational facilities?
No,
No? Okay. Okay,
We
people
would
have-
ditch it if we could get any other group to do it, but we
Well,
can't.
exactly. I mean, you can always have that discussion with other groups, but until you do,
yeah, well,
you don't want to freak everybody out.
thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Okay, is there anything that we're missing in those 9? Well, now they're gonna be like 8 things that we do. I mean, to Carrie and Karen's point, should we put something in here about outreach, about maintain web pages that inform our community or anything to that regard?
Well,
that's
I guess I-
free.
Is that 3?
yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I
that's
was gonna
true.
say is I wouldn't get that specific about how we're gonna do it.
Okay,
And so we have information to town residents, because some town residents will be fine with the website, other ones might want something up on a board, whatever, we can look at improving it. That's one of our goals.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that we might be missing?
Yes. Let me ask about the town holiday party. That going there, what's happening with that this year?
I don't know.
Okay, put down, find out.
It was never our event, but yes, we should check with the town about, are we gonna do a holiday party again or volunteer party?
I strongly suspect there will be one. I don't think we've started talking about it yet, but we'll probably start talking about it any day now to get it organized.
Is that typically Parks and Rec that organizes
No,
it?
no, it's town
No.
staff normally who does all
Town
that.
staff? Okay,
Yeah.
Right.
okay.
Party for you guys. You shouldn't be having to organize. it.
Exactly. We just show up, we get to drink and be merry.
All right. Okay, well, you know what? This is good. I can clean this up and send it out. We can take another swag at it. I just want to do, so we're responsible to the town council. Coordination with all town committees and commissions, town staff, PB schools, representative of athletic leagues and recreation clubs. Is that enough?
Yes,
We don't mention the PV schools in any of the itemized things.
No, we don't, do we?
This,
I wonder why that's there.
Yeah, we do very little with schools.
I think it's because of the tennis courts.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tennis courts, or sometimes if their fields are closed and they need to do something. I mean, I would leave it in there if it's. I mean, it's all of these things are where relevant.
Right,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay,
For the
Um,
membership, I would suggest you've got 6 right now, right? I would say up to 7. You don't want it to be an even number. You want it to be an odd number, your limit, because otherwise your quorum is just slightly harder to make.
Everybody wants 7?
If it's 7, your
Yeah.
quorum is 4. If it's 8, then your quorum is 5.
Yeah, and I was concerned with 13 there because we don't even
It
have that
was
many
13 a long
members.
time ago.
Well,
yeah.
it was, yeah, we changed.
There was a
Yeah.
swelling and then a contraction, so it was 13 for a while. But that number we can bump that up and down. So, even if you've got 6, if you find 2 people who want to do it, we'll just bump it up to 9 and make room for them. So it's as easy to.
Craig, I thought the issue here was that at some point we said it's not just how many members we have, but if it's up to 13, for a quorum, we needed to actually have
7 present, exactly. And so if your authorized membership is 8, a quorum
Yeah.
is 50% plus 1, so that would be 5 for a quorum. Whereas if it's 7, then you only need 4 for a quorum.
Yeah, because this came up at a recent town council meeting, right? Like
Yes,
a few months ago.
it's exactly. So what we've switched to is basically having the authorized membership be dynamic on all of the committees, to be, at most one more than what is currently on the committee. And then if the committee gets a bunch of interest and wants to add more members, then we just ratchet the number up to make room. And if the committee shrinks, then we ratchet the number down to make sure they can still get a quorum.
Yep.
I'd like to know what this bullshit is about 1-year terms and rotating chair and vice chair and secretary.
So technically, everybody gets reappointed every year. So you do have 1-year terms. So unless somebody says, I don't want to do it anymore, you get reappointed.
Yeah,
And the
Yeah.
rotating chair, vice chair, secretary is theoretically every year you guys should elect yourselves a new chair.
Yeah.
and vice chair and
like I said,
secretary.
I don't know what this
Someone
bullshit
volunteers.
is. I don't know what that bullshit is.
You just spin around once, Patty, and that'll be the rotating of the chair.
Rotating, yeah. Like in The Exorcist, I'll rotate. Okay. Meetings, we're currently 3rd Thursday of each month at 7:30. And that's that,
We're good.
right? Oh, that was okay. What I will plan on doing then is cleaning this up. I'll send it out and we'll just then I think I'll start an inventory of the web pages and just see where we are. And then maybe next time we can assign some projects around the web pages and things like that. How would that sound? Set us up for the new year in terms of what we really want to work on next year and get kind of cleaned up.
Mhm.
Okay.
That sound good?
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay, thank you for that. H webpage we talked about. California State Grant, I haven't heard anything and I need to prod Howard to see if there's anything new there. To the best of my knowledge, there's nothing new. And I haven't heard anything on the donated horse sculpture, unless Craig, you've heard something at the town council.
I think it's coming to our next council agenda to accept the donation of the horse, and there will probably be some information in our packet when that happens. So I think staff has been working with the donor to kind of iron things out. I think they formed a committee of kind of one person from a variety of different committees. I don't know if one of you has been.
Yeah,
talking to
no,
them. Yeah.
I was on it.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a committee of committees to kind of think about locations and
Right.
where it might be installed and what, if it's gonna have a plaque with it or whatever, that kind of stuff. So
Right, yeah.
the donation is not, it's a legacy donation, and the person who's making the donation is still alive. So we're not actually getting the horse until sometime later. But we're trying to, just figure out at least a sketch of, well, here's what we'll do with it when we get it.
Yeah. I showed the picture of the horse to the committee last time. They were very impressed.
Yeah, it's a nice
Very large
touch.
horse, very
Yep.
large horse. The
Horse
size of a horse. Okay, I think that is all, unless I turn the page here. Nope, that's all. Anything else anybody wants to discuss?
Yes, I do. I
Yep.
just have a question, kind of outside of ours, but the town project of getting more housing. What is the deal on that White House next to Woodside Priority School?
The one that's right up on the road.
Yeah,
That belongs to the Priory, and I think they used to have somebody living in there until, I don't know, maybe like 5 years ago, but the house is kind of falling apart.
right.
But I think it may be a historic building of some kind. I was talking to what's his name, the old head, Tim Molak,
Yeah,
about it at some point, and they were kind of thinking of doing something there when they built the one that's up on the hill.
yeah, okay.
But Carter War, their architect, took a look at it, and it would have been a lot more expensive and harder to kind of fix that up than to do what they did.
Yeah. all
So
right.
they'll still probably do something with it at some point. I think their general plan for the Priory campus still
When did that
has a
woman
building a couple more units of
move out
housing
of that
at some
little
point. So
white
they
house?
may look at it again.
Priory property?
I wondered if it was just
5 years ago.
I don't know.
for 5 years just sitting there.
Mhm.
It's been there a long, long time empty.
The one across the street from us?
No, it's by the Priory property. It's the little white house that
That was
looks,
the Mexican.
Called the Rutherford
no.
House or something like that, I think.
it's right on the Priory property.
Oh,
It's been
it's been there.
vacant a
the
long
Priory
time,
owns it.
long time.
Okay,
So That's a big deal.
anything else? I have a motion for adjourn.
Second,
I'm,
Wait, now, what are you wearing for Halloween?
My pajamas.
He's scary. Yeah. Giving out for candy.
I just got back from Boston. I'm still trying to catch up on my sleep.
Okay.
All right, motion to adjourn.
second.
motion.
Good night, everyone.
Aaron, good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good
An hour
night.
and a half. Wow. We did it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Patty.
Bye.
Take care,
Thanks.
everyone.
Bye-bye. Yeah. I'm not sure how it turns off. I've got to send her some pictures though. Oh, boy. Yep. Not sure how this turns off. Well, me, don't know how to work any of this stuff. Obviously not doing it right. How do I get this off? Hmm. I have no idea how to turn this off. Hmm. Honey, I don't know how to turn this off. Calendar. Events. How come somebody didn't turn it off? Zoom. How do you get this off?